Hi, this is Richard C. I'm a math tutor here at Wyzant and answering a question submitted by a student. This is a kind of word problem situation here involving the famous formula that distance is equal to rate times time. So usually to solve one of these questions, one of these word problems, I would just set up a table. Let's say you're traveling and there's a leg 1 here and a leg 2, another leg of the trip that you're making, and then you want some overall, usually there's some overall, so you want to know what the overall result of these 2 legs of travel are, or something like that. And then I make up a columns. I just put rate times time equal distance. So I just like to create a table. It just clarifies everything, keeps it simple. So in here would be rate 1 and rate 2 and time 1 and time 2 and D1 and D2. And here would be the total time would be T1 plus T2. Total distance traveled would be D1 plus D2. Okay, so that's the standard arrangement. However, sometimes this leg may be into the wind. Maybe you're running or flying in an airplane into the wind, or maybe you're in a boat and the boat is traveling into the current, which is going to make your situation much slower. You're going to travel much more slowly. So instead of R1, you just replace that. And we're going to just subtract, subtract the strength of that wind or the strength of that current. This would be upwind or into the wind or into the current, whatever the case may be. And this would be with the wind or with the current. This would be against, I suppose I should call that against the wind versus with the wind. For current, we might call this against the current, or we might call it, I don't know. So I guess against is the best word here. So here, if we're going against the wind, the rate is reduced by the rate of the wind. And here, if we're going with the wind or with the current, the rate is increased by the strength of the current or the strength of the wind. And then, of course, this is a little bit different. D1 here is going to be T1 times R minus W, R1 minus W, and then, of course, this is going to be T2 times R2 plus W. Now, usually, sometimes these R1 and R2 could be the same. If it's an airplane that's turned around or something, maybe it's set to fly at a certain speed into the wind and with the wind. So these are not necessarily different. times are not necessarily different. All this will vary from word problem to word problem, but this is the way you set it up, which I believe is what you're asking for here. And it's really not that hard. It does introduce another variable, which makes it a little bit more complicated, but typically, things can be solved pretty well here. Okay, so that's it for your question. I hope that helps. It's kind of a open-ended question. I gave you the best explanation I could. Um, if you're still having trouble with this, I would suggest sending in a particular word problem where there's a wind or a current involved. Okay, that's it for this one. See you next time. Bye bye.